I'm starting the stream right now.
All right, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure that I fart in every Two Idiots video. I fart a lot. Those are just the videos I leave them in.
Oh, I know. You don't got to tell me.
What's up, guys? JayzTwoCents here, and Barnacles.
Barnacles.
Barnaculizles.
Yeah,
Tech
whatever,
Talk.
however you pronounce it.
Tech Talk number 120. Wow.
I can't believe we're up that high. Jesus.
Wait, let's clarify. We're at
Okay.
120 episodes. I can't do that extracurricular activity that you can, sir, in your state. Because California. Nor would I anyway. I hate the smell of smoke and stuff. Anyway, hey guys, we've got a jam-packed show for you today. Wow, that document did get kind of big. I didn't look at it till right now.
Yeah, Hobbs created a document and it turned into like a chat client.
It did. Like I'm gonna have a hard time differentiating between what was our discussion versus what's actual topic.
It doesn't matter.
I better not just read it like a teleprompter. I might get myself in trouble. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and roll that intro. We'll get right into it.
Boots and cats and GPUs and integrity issues and stuff and things and money and cash money, dollar bill, y'all.
Integrity. That's the theme of today's show is integrity
Pokemon Go.
issues.
We have to say Pokemon Go so you can put it in the tag.
All right, Pokemon Go.
Okay, there you go. Pokemon.
Pokemon.
That's right. I've been pronouncing it wrong this whole time. It's Pokemon.
Yeah, it's Pokemon.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I went and looked it up.
I better
Okay,
bring up the chat winders here because I'm curious what chat's going to have to say on this one here. Anyway, guys, as always, every single week you guys can donate directly to Barnacles by looking at the description, which has a link directly to his donate button. Since YouTube is like, sorry, bro, you're in some sort of a different alternate universe of code where everyone else is concerned.
They pretty much said they can't fix it. They've been investigating this for 6 months. They just came to the conclusion that we're sorry, we don't know how to approach this or fix it. They even recommended I created a Patreon. YouTube, of all people, recommended that I go somewhere else and create a fan funding thing.
YouTube was straight up like, just go to Patreon. While you're at it, why don't you sign up for Bessel?
Yeah, Vimeo still works.
Oh yeah, Vimeo. Is Vimeo still around?
I think it is actually.
I'm gonna tweet out that we're live. I never do that. You would think after 120 episodes, I'd understand that when I go live, I should actually tweet it. Even though I think YouTube does it automatically. It's like it's so generic too. It tweets out automatically for me. I've started a live stream. like I would ever just be like, I started a live stream.
I know you're just phoning it in.
All right, we are gonna drop some truth bombs right.
Oh shit, son!
Now, and there we go. So it's live. So did you hear that a new graphics card launched this week, Jerry, on Tuesday?
I did.
Do you know what graphics card it is?
It was the 1060, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think. Yes, GTX 1060.
That's the AMD one, right?
Well, if we're going by the numbering sequence, it'll be 6 years before, or 12 years, because what, 2 years every generation right now in AMD? It'll be 12 years before we get the 600 series. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait. No, I have to say it. I digress. Okay.
But I digress. You know why I say that so much? And it's not even. It's kind of become my little catchphrase, right? Unintentionally, I worked with one of our senior developers that was like one of the founders of the company who started with our legacy software.
Yep.
He died last year, but he was notorious for in Scrum meetings going 25-minute tangents about why you can't do something, and every time he would end his argument with, "But I digress."
I have a friend that does the same thing.
And so you're just like, really? You just made us sit here for 20 minutes to listen to this whole thing for you just to back off your argument?
For those of you in the chat that don't know what a Scrum is, it's the most annoying model ever created for having meetings. Mm-hmm. It's horrible. Yeah. It's like the micromanagement theme song.
It's been widely adopted amongst software developers and IT departments. Basically, you sit around in a little round table and everyone talks about what they're doing so the managers can all be on the same page as you and tell you everything you need to be doing instead of what you're doing.
How many times did you guys Scrum a day?
We had a morning Scrum and a closing Scrum before we left.
Yeah, that's what we did too at Microsoft. I remember when they switched to the Scrum format, I was like, oh my God, because all I did was come to the Scrum meeting and be like, this is what I'm working on, this is when it'll be done. End of the day. This is what I'm working on, this is when it'll be done. Next day. Okay, overshot the target, I'm still working on it. It'll be done later. Next day. And that's all everybody did. Like,
it's like, was a target ever hit on time in software? No.
No. If it is, I'd be worried.
Yeah, it's like, wait a minute, what corners did you cut? Like, if you got your job done on time, the managers would start questioning, like, what corners you cut. Anyway, okay, so just on a high level, I did my GTX 1060 review, as did everyone else. And
did NVIDIA send you the check yet?
They said they were sending direct deposit, but I haven't seen it yet. In fact,
They've been lying to me lately. I've yet to receive any checks yet.
Well, there was like a $10,000 withdrawal by NVIDIA Corp, but I haven't gotten the actual payment yet. Anyway, just kidding, obviously. So I got my reference 1060. It's on the test bench back there, as you can see right now. But the same time frame, EVGA asked me if I wanted to check out their mini card, which is just a reference 1060 without the longer cooler on it, and it has a single ball bearing fan. So it's the exact same card. So I tested both of these, and I went, you know what? They're performing identical. They're boosting in the same clock, even though the EVGA card advertised a 1.83 boost clock, and the Founders Edition card boasted a 1.7. But when I put them both on my test bench, they both went to over 1900 megahertz on their own. So I went, you know what? Instead of doing all the testing twice, I'm just going to test the little card. Because in my mind, I figured the little card would have the worst cooling, because it's only got one small fan and doesn't have a giant heatsink on it like the 1060 does.
That's what I think.
Well, the Founders Edition blower hangs off the end of the card. So the entire length of the PCB is the heatsink, and then it blows across it. So I figured the cooling on that would be better. It's the first time they've done a reference-style cooler on a 60 series card. Typically, they don't bring like that aluminum or magnesium cooler all the way down to the 60 series. This is new for that. So I went, you know what? Let's go and test it with the small card. I thought the cooling would actually be worse on this. So anyway, I did my tests. They performed identical, and everyone called me out on that, saying that it wasn't fair to take what I think is ironic. They said it wasn't fair to take a mini ITX card like the 1060 SC and put it against the RX 480 reference style cooler. So, I guess I could see where people were concerned that this was some sort of a custom PCB, but it's not. It is an identical Founders Edition board, as are all the SCs. So here's what I did today, because people, for whatever reason, don't believe me when I say my Founders Edition 1060 boosted up just as far as the mini card right here. So here's what I've done. I spent 3 hours today retesting this, and I set up. Hold on, I think the stream is going to pause for a second here, because I'm turning on the game capture, which freezes for a second. Okay. I think we're back. Yes.
I've never seen Jay have as big of a raging nerd boner as he does right now.
No, here's the problem. Here's the problem. Integrity was questioned here. People questioned whether or not I was doing this on purpose to stack it against the AMD card. Was I trying to make NVIDIA look better? Was I trying to make AMD look bad? How much did NVIDIA pay me, et cetera, et cetera? First of all, NVIDIA has never sent a dime to anybody, or not me anyway. They never sent me a dime. They sent me graphics card. And bombshell, so does AMD. So that's not an argument. Here's my test bench. As you can see right here, I am going to do, let me get my mouse here. I'm going to show you right now. Here is the MSI Afterburner. And I'm using Afterburner only because I don't have the latest Precision OC installed. Sorry, Jacob. Anyway, here it is right here. 1060, 6 gigabyte card on the latest driver.
How do we know you didn't Photoshop the text?
Shut up.
Hey, I'm just playing devil's advocate so that we cover everything, okay? That's all I'm doing.
So anyway, you can see right here all the settings are factory. The only thing I touched on here real quick is if we look at... Sorry, I'm actually looking away from the screen a little bit. If you look at the fan curve here, I bumped the fan curve up about 10% versus where it is from the factory. And the reason why I did that today is because it's 106 degrees, and I'm on the second story of a building that the AC... It blows okay, but when you're rendering like I am right now, it gets pretty damn hot in this room.
Your room does get pretty hot.
Like we had some serious sticking to the chairs issues last week or 2 weeks ago when you were here.
Yes, we did.
So I bumped the fan curve up 10% across the board. That's it. Okay? So that's the difference right there. It is all factory boost clock. It is all factory target temp, factory power limit. Everything is 0. You can see that. All right? So here's what we're going to do. We are going to start right now a 3-loop series of Metro Last Light. The reason why I use Metro is it's the actual game engine. It's not a synthetic benchmark. and it actually stresses the GPUs pretty good. So I'm starting that right now. I'm going to show you guys, as it says no signal because the thing is actually starting. There we go. Here's the benchmark starting, and OSD, or on-screen display, is going to pop up right now at the bottom of the screen. Watch this. Look at what it boosts up to. 2,000 megahertz. My stock 1060 Founders Edition card boosted to 2,000 megahertz. Now it's going to drop down as the temperature starts to come up a little bit, down to about 1936. So, was I wrong for taking the SC card, for using that in my bench test when they boosted to the same exact frequency? Jerry, you tell me.
No, I think you made the right call. I don't know why everybody was freaking out.
Because they think that this is some sort of a custom board. They think that for some reason, because the Founders Edition card shows a lower boost clock, that means that the EVGA card was going to give it the edge because it has a higher BIOS boost clock. All that means is the people who are complaining have no fucking idea how GPU Boost 3.0 works. That's what that means. If there is temperature headroom and there is power target headroom, the card will go farther. Period. It's not going to stop at 1.7 gigahertz. My test is not flawed. The way I did my test is perfectly accurate. The way I did my test is more accurate towards what the customer is going to buy. This card you're looking at right here that you guys were pissed off that I didn't use is $40 more than the card I used. So $259, it has a $10 rebate for $249 versus a $239. Yeah, I had to put the rebate in there. They gave me that information after I made the video. I'm like, well, fuck. But anyway, rebates are rebates, right? So anyway, it's a $20 difference between the 8 gigabyte RX 480, which I benchmarked, and this one. The only mistake I made, and I will admit this, the only mistake I made is that I did not test the RX 480 with the improved drivers that are supposed to fix the power issue. And you want to know why? Because they dropped that driver on July 12th. I sent my RX 480 to Edit Tech Source July 11th, and I have the shipping records to prove it. So they dropped the new driver a day after I sent my card away. And he's unfortunately out of the country on vacation right now. So now I'm going to be borrowing an RX 480 from Paul's Hardware so I can redo the test to shut everyone up once and for all.
You know, everybody's still going to bitch about something else.
Oh, everyone's always going to bitch about something. But the only reason I did this, and like I told you before chat, is I'm not trying to prove the haters. I'm not trying to change the haters' minds. Fanboys are going to be fanboys. Idiots are going to be idiots. And dullards cannot be educated. But what I'm doing is I'm showing those people who are on the fence, like, I'm unsure, was this a valid test? The people who are sitting there, like, objectively thinking, is this a valid test? Is this stacked in some way? To at least show you that, look, this isn't stacked in some way. Now, if you look at the frequency down there, you'll see it's down to 1949 right now. You're going to see it fluctuate in this test between 1936 and 1949. At the end of the test, the very, very end, when the screen turns black, it drops down to 1911. But it's not going to go any lower than that. And I'm going to show you when the third test is done. We're on loop to number 2 right now. But when the third test is done, I'm going to show you the FPS that we got right now with the Founders Edition card, the average FPS on this test versus the average FPS I posted for the SC. So now we can chat while this is going.
Is that thermal throttling, Jay, or is that like power throttling?
See, that's the problem. People confuse GPU boost dynamic frequency control for quote-unquote thermal throttling. So,
I mean, it's an honest mistake. I would make that assumption if I didn't know otherwise.
No, it's an innocent one in my opinion. It's just the problem is when the term gets thrown around amongst people on like forums and stuff that don't know the proper use of the term or at least the definition of it, it can cause damage. Kind of like bottlenecking, right? Bottlenecking is a real thing. But when people say something like, my i5 6600K is going to bottleneck my 1080. No, it's not. Right? I mean, you might see a slight percentage in difference in performance on like an i5 versus like an i7. Right. But you're not bottlenecking your graphics card. Bottlenecking would be if your graphics card literally drops down out of like a 3D state or a different P state because the GPU is pushing out too much information that the CPU can't handle. That's bottlenecking. When the P state changes because of the CPU. So thermal throttling here, proper definition of it would be if your performance or the frequency of your graphics card drops below the rated boost performance or the boost clock because of temperature, then you're thermal throttling. But if I started at 2000 and now I'm down at 1936 because the temperature came up to 73 C, technically, yes, it slowed down the frequency a little bit because the thermals were going up, but it's not thermal throttling because we're still higher than the advertised boost clock. Does that make sense?
You lost me.
Okay. Founders Edition 1060, the one that is installed right now, has
Yes.
a 1.7 gigahertz or 1700 megahertz boost clock.
Okay, noted.
Has a base clock of 16 or 1508.
Okay.
So that means that the card is guaranteed to run 1508 megahertz minimum in 3D mode in that P state.
Okay.
You understand P states, obviously.
No. Oh, power. Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So it's just like a CPU. All right. Mm-hmm. So when it goes into a 3D mode or when a game is rendering like you see right now, it says, hey, our power usage is only this, and we're allowed this. Our temperature is only this. Our target is this. We're below our target. Let's speed ourselves up to get to our target. So it says that until you reach that target, continue to add more clock. Okay?
Okay.
Now that clock will exceed the boost clock all the time if those parameters are met. Those parameters are kept in check, meaning we don't hit the temperature target or the power target first. So if you start to hit those temperature and power targets, the card will start to slow itself down until those targets are kept within a threshold. Now, if the card stays above the boost clock rating of 1700 megahertz, but it's slowed down from the fastest speed you saw when the temperature was colder when you first started the test, that's not thermal throttling. That's nothing more than it just dynamically controlling its frequency, but it's still well above the advertised clock you were promised to get of 1.7. If the card goes below 1.7 and continues to go down because the thermals are too high, that is thermal throttling.
Gotcha.
The other scenario you're seeing is nothing more than GPU boost and how it's designed to work. Does that make sense?
No, it makes sense. No, that makes sense. That's the card basically trying to put itself at the most optimal performance at any given time, given the variables, basically temperature, power available, clock, all of that stuff.
Right.
Thermal throttling is where the chip is literally approached a point where it's going to seize.
It's no different than when your CPU will thermal throttle because it hit an upper threshold of temperature.
Yeah. And plus, I mean, it's more efficient to not run the GPU at its maximum possible conceivable clock all the time unless you need to.
I do.
Oh, do you actually check the box that's like just cranked?
No, I like my Titan X's, all three of them have a custom BIOS on there to remove GPU boost entirely. Because I'm on water, I don't need it to dynamically control things. My card,
do you notice any benefit to that? I mean, like in benchmarking.
Yeah, the GPU clock doesn't fluctuate ever. So because I was doing a lot of 3D Mark testing, and I was trying to keep my card in that top 10%, that top 10 spot in the world, because I was like I think I was number 7 or 8 at one point in the world on 3-way configs, because I was able to go in there and keep the clock from dynamically adjusting itself to get the max performance period. Right now at idle, my cards are still sitting at 1486 megahertz at idle. But that's because I just leave them there since I'm on water.
That's crazy because I had an option, I don't know if it was an MSI Afterburner, where you go in, you check the boxes, basically like just run, it was like K clock. It's like just run the GPUs at full clock all the time. And I enabled it, and my fan kicked up. You could hear it in the case down there like a vacuum cleaner. But I didn't really notice any appreciable increase in frame rate. Like I didn't do any actual benchmarking, but I didn't notice any difference versus just having the GPU clock throttle and shit all over the place.
Yeah. Okay, so the test is ending. It's going to spit up our 3 scores right now.
Oh shit, it's about to get real.
Now, what we're looking at here is to see what the trend was, if you will. Like as temperatures and stuff would change, what was the trend? So test 1, we got 102.71 FPS, so 103 if you average that. Second test, we got 101.97, so 102. The third test, we got 102.1, so 102. So we got 103, 102, 102. Well, what did I say the EVGA SC was? 103. So, tell me again how my test is flawed.
I'm guessing you probably used like a hex editor on the BIOS to unlock some special feature. I don't know. I'm just
what's funny
to think of what people on Twitter will say.
What's funny is when I no, you're not wrong, because when I actually put out some comments on there saying my Founders Edition boosted just as far as the SC. Otherwise, I would have used the Founders Edition if there was a huge difference in performance here. Someone was like, "Yeah, you just went in there and modified the BIOS," but it's actually, anyone who's tried to modify Pascal BIOS so far know that they are certified BIOS that you cannot actually hack at the moment. So I haven't been able to play around with any of the 1080 Pascal BIOS hacks because I want to do like I just said. I want to take GPU boost out. I'm not a fan of GPU boost. I don't want it dynamically controlling things. I want to do it. So you can't even do that right now. Not only that, how are you going to have a BIOS hack on day one of the launch of a graphics card? Especially when I need to get drivers for the first 2 weeks.
It's because you're in all the secret meetings with NVIDIA, like about their product lines and how to hack sort them.
That's right. It was at the check writing meeting.
It was like I remember when I went down to visit Jay, was it like last week or whatever. So I go down to visit Jay, and he kept disappearing for like 2 hours at a time, and then I'd hear like NVIDIA off in the background, and then they'd be like, "Shh, quiet, quiet, Jerry will hear us," and they'd open up the side door, and I'd see these guys with NVIDIA shirts just booking it out into the streets. Like it was suspect.
All right, hold on. I'm going to go ahead and switch it back to the main. And the reason why I have to tell you hold on is when I switch from the capture card to this machine, it like hiccups for a second. So 1 second, guys. All right, there we go. So, all right, so that's that. Okay, that's it. That's all there is to it. This isn't an integrity thing. This has nothing to do with trying to stack it so that it looks like NVIDIA's better. I went on record with the 480 as saying it was a hell of a card, and NVIDIA had its hands, or really had its work cut out for it to compete in that $250 price point. And unfortunately for the AMD diehard fanboys, and I'm not talking about AMD fans, AMD fanboys, there's a difference there. Unfortunately for those guys, they refuse to believe if NVIDIA makes a better product. And right now, at that price point, it could be argued that for raw FPS on a single card, it is obviously a better card when it comes to performance. But a lot of people hate NVIDIA because of a lot of...
well, it's common
I'm going to call him Apple.
The big guy, right?
No. They don't hate him because they're the big guy. I think a lot of people hate NVIDIA because they're very Apple-esque in the way that they operate their business. We know what you want. Not you. We're going to tell you what you want and you need. You're not going to tell us as customers. We're going to tell you what you want. And that's what a lot of people don't like about NVIDIA. It's very Apple-like in the way that the business model works. It's the same reason why people either love or hate Apple. So that's it. That's the reason why.
The interesting thing is I hate Apple as a company. I absolutely despise Apple as a company, but I love the products they make.
Yeah.
NVIDIA is kind of in the same boat, except for I don't really feel that same hatred towards NVIDIA that I do towards Apple as a company.
See, this is the frustrating part about YouTube. You can talk until you're blue in the face, and then you'll get idiots like in the comment that goes, AMD's a lot cheaper. It's like the same people that were in my video comments going, yeah, but it's $199 versus $299. No, you took a 4 gigabyte 480, which is not going to perform in a lot of these titles, especially with higher resolutions like 1440p, as good as the 8 gigabyte model, and you're comparing it to the more expensive Founders Edition model, and only to do nothing more than to skew the pricing so that you can say price per dollar on the AMD card is better. You see, that's called manipulation of the facts, which is not what I did, but people claimed I did. But you got those people in there that are too stupid to realize that $239 8 gigabyte card versus a $259 1060 is a $20 difference, not $100. Why are people this stupid? I don't understand it.
Because of the internet. It's just because of it. Luckily, the majority of people are still smarter. It's just the dumber ones tend to be louder because they don't have jobs and they live in their mom's basement.
I would absolutely love if AMD had launched their 8 gigabyte card at $200. That would have been there would have been no denying that 8 gigabyte 480 at $200, price performance king, take it for what it is and go. But for whatever reason, why they chose to do a 2-tiered 4 gigabyte and 8 gigabyte model is beyond me. And it's funny too, the amount of people that buy into hype, because weeks ago said, oh, there's going to be a 3 gigabyte and a 6 gigabyte 1060. No, there's not. There's a single 6 gigabyte card. They're not going to come out with a 3 gigabyte card. 4 gigabytes is barely enough to cut it in AAA titles, even at 1080p right now. Why on earth would anyone launch a 3 gigabyte card? The rumor is that that's possibly going to be a 1050 card, which in my opinion would still be, why the hell do you have 3 gigabytes? That's a weird number.
Yeah, to be honest, we're kind of hitting that point now where it's like 4K gaming is definitely realistic. Like, I mean, I was playing stuff like Overwatch and stuff in PDX land, like perfectly fine at 4K. Like, no frame drop, nothing. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Not seeing a lot of input lag either now these days, like with the updates on the drivers and stuff like that, even on the 980 Ti's. I was noticing fantastic frame rates and no input lag in many of the newer titles. So yeah. I think they're getting it sorted out. So I would say that if you're buying a graphics card, damn straight you should have more 6 gig or more of memory. Otherwise, you're kind of wasting your time.
It's funny. Do you remember when the 580 was out and it had 1.5 gigs of VRAM?
I do.
No, guys, it wasn't 2 gigs with only 1.5. It was actually 1.5 gigs of VRAM. And then the custom cards came out that doubled that. Like EVGA had their 3 gigabyte version, et cetera, et cetera.
And it was a big price jump. It was a huge price jump.
Well, because it was a completely custom designed card from the AIB, not from NVIDIA. So there was probably a lot more R&D costs to the manufacturer to do that. But I just think it's funny how you don't see that anymore. The last time we saw that was with what? Probably 680, when you saw 3 gigabyte and 6 gigabyte models, wasn't it? Or was 680 a 4 gig card? I thought it was 3 gig. Could be wrong. But anyway,
oh, this because I have 680s in.
No, I think 680 was a 2 gig and a 4 gig. Yeah, it was a 2 gig and a 4 gig. Yeah. So yeah, you don't see those custom models anymore like the manufacturers are putting out, because I think NVIDIA is kind of tightening its leash on what the AIBs are allowed to do.
And that's kind of going in the direction of the whole Apple thing too.
Right.
That you mentioned is they're definitely trying to tie down the line, because the one thing that a lot of people don't realize is, as a software developer, the less permutations of hardware you have, the easier it is to create code for that and not have a ton of bugs.
Yeah.
So if NVIDIA can tighten it down and just be like, instead of having 75 SKUs of each card and each one of them being significantly different enough to where the driver actually has to have some kind of change in it to support that hardware, then the better off they'll be and the less driver problems they're going to have.
Yeah. Well, I'm watching some of the chat go by right here. Yeah, that 1 FPS difference that you saw between the SC and the FE, obviously that's because the SC stayed a little bit cooler. The FE we saw reach 73. I think we saw 73C. This guy right here sat at 63. So that 10 Celsius difference only made 1 FPS difference when it came to GPU boost. So obviously,
so
GPU
in your opinion, you think that was that was due to just cooling. So in theory, if you put a water block on both of those cards, you think they could achieve the exact same result?
Actually, they would go higher, because what a lot of people forget is that when the card is sitting around 45C, GPU boost is just cranked. It cranks all its knobs to the right, and once it hits about 50C and higher, then it starts turning things down. So that's why you can also typically see usually a higher overclock 2 on water than you can on air, even if the thermals are the same. Well, I shouldn't say the thermals are the same. The voltage is the same, because at that lower temperature, the voltage is more efficient, and you're able to get a better control of voltage to both the memory and the GPU. So that's why you see a little bit better overclocking on water than you do on air, even if the voltage is the same. It has to do with efficiency at that point and heat. So, yeah, my point here being, it was only on the second and third test when it dropped down like 0.5. And I say one frame per second. It was 0.6-ish, like 0.6 of an FPS difference between the Founders Edition and the SC. Which was the only point I was trying to prove, that a tiny little card like this was getting you the same performance as an FE,
and cheaper too.
Yeah, because if I had done the FE, then all the arguments would be, well, the thing's $300, and even I'm like, I shit on that price too, going, that's stupid. No one should ever buy a $300 60 series card, in my opinion, ever. And you want to talk about who's really lost their mind on all of this? ASUS. ASUS has lost their mind. Their Strix card is what, $339? Let me see. Where's that price at right here? Strix edition is $329. Excuse me. Who in their right mind would pay $329 for a 60 series card? But it performs just as good as the 970. So what? That doesn't mean we get to start jacking up prices and inflating them as performance increases. At least that's my opinion on the whole matter. ASUS done lost its mind.
Jay is the least fanboyish guy I know.
You and I have had a lot of conversations behind the scenes, and you know I have no loyalties to any brand.
You don't.
Jeez.
Like not even a little. You've even told me some stories about how you've crossed the line and pissed on things before, and got yourself in trouble. And you're like, I give 0 fucks, 0.
You know what? If NVIDIA one day or AMD one day said we don't want to send you cards anymore, I'd be like, fine, I will buy the card. It's not going to make any difference, and my review will be no different if I buy it versus them sending it to me. So anyway, that's that. I just wanted to.
Your name has been cleared, Jay.
No, because there's going to be plenty of people out there arguing with me still. Press 1 in chat if you were legitimately shocked that 1060 by itself on the FE cooler went up to 2,000 megahertz with all the settings at factory. Did you just hit 1?
I did, several times.
I mean, seriously, when I first when I plugged it into my test bench and turned it on, because I did the Founders Edition first, okay, and I started testing the Founders Edition. I did all my synthetics first, not the ones that require me to control the game when I was doing the test benching or the benchmarking. But when I actually did the synthetics, I saw how far up it went. I out loud by myself in this room went, holy fuck. Like, I wasn't expecting it. I was like, wait a minute, this got a 1.7 boost clock. That's giving me 1508 megahertz base clock. It overclocked itself 500 megahertz, or 25% by itself. I was not expecting that. So that's when I took the EVGA card and I went, well, wait a minute. This has a 1.83, was it 1835, I believe. 1835 megahertz boost clock. Does that mean this is going to boost to 2050 or 2100? So I installed this to see if it went just as far, and the numbers were the same. It went to about 1960 is where it sort of settled. So the difference between the two cards was about 30 megahertz. And you know as well as I do, 30 megahertz at the 1900 megahertz range is not going to make or break any of those test bench or those benchmarks in anyone's favor. Period. So yeah, that's why I stuck with the SC. What?
So what's going to happen now is the company's going to watch this video and be like, "Oh shit, we put the wrong BIOS on the card. Quick, put the nerfed BIOS on there. We don't want everybody buying this cheaper card."
Well, the other thing too was, for a moment, I thought it might have been the test drivers. Because remember, we get media drivers. They're different than retail, which suck because sometimes we have to get our testing done prior to launch day, not because of obligations, but because, let's face it, everyone's putting out their videos and you want yours to be out there in contrast. So yeah, there's
I'm the one that always releases the video like months after something comes out,
or years after in the case of
yeah, it doesn't. Or years.
So anyway, I thought for a second there, I'm like, maybe it's the driver. I don't know. So today, what you guys just saw, that was the driver that you can go to NVIDIA and download today. So that's NVIDIA's latest drivers. That's the WICL certified, okay, WICL faked or whatever drivers. So, yeah, that's that. I wanna put a lid on that. The only time you're gonna hear me talk about this again is when I have two custom RX 480s coming in. By the way, guys, I have the Gigabyte. What do they call it? I don't think they called it the G1 Gaming. They call it something else, but it's their gaming series, like WindForce version of the RX 480, and the Nitro, Sapphire Nitro card are coming in. So I've got two custom RX 480s, which are, both of them, by the way, are still like soon. When I asked when, the answer was soon. I think we've all been hearing soon for a month now. I'm wondering now which 1060s I should test those against. I mean, right now I still only have the SC in the Founders Edition because no one else has really reached out for doing any more 1060 videos. But what's funny is I was actually at Disneyland when all of the shitty comments were coming in about the 1060. I went as far as to check Micro Center's inventory to see if they had any RX 480s in stock so I could run over there and buy one so I could redo the test because, like I said, Ed has my card. But yeah, just like everyone else, the RX 480 is a unicorn and out of stock, just like the 1070 and 1080. What is up with GPU availability right now? Have you? I know you haven't been following it, Jerry, but
I've been following it for the I have been following it for the 1080 Strix card.
They're like unicorns.
Yeah.
1080s, 1070s, RX 480s, they're unicorns, man. What the hell?
They must have had a really, really bad time with production. I wonder if they had a lot of rejects. Like a lot
like
of
us, we're rejects.
Just going in the garbage.
We're such rejects, aren't we?
Well, that's happened with CPUs before, too. But usually the way Intel handles that is they just run the price up like absolutely through the roof and claim that it's like unobtainium. Anyway,
I'm going to let you go ahead and take it on there. I wanted to do that test. I wanted to show it live with me. You guys should see my capture card right there on the table running over here to Skunkworks. It was important to me to show that I did not stack it because the claim by so many people saying NVIDIA shill, it bothers me because, like I said, I've never accepted a dime from NVIDIA. I've never accepted a dime from AMD. I've never accepted a dime for review, ever. I've always accepted money to do advertising, which is obviously clear and upfront in the beginning of the video that it's an ad integrated into a non-competing video title or video topic. So when people were like, obviously NVIDIA paid for this, NVIDIA doesn't pay us. Are you kidding? The 1080s that I got for Skunkworks for the update for that, I had to nag and beg practically to get those cards, with nothing more than a promise them to put them in Skunkworks. And by the time I finally got them and I get to do this, I bet the 1080 Ti is going to be out.
Probably.
So anyway, it was an integrity thing, and I was like, what the fuck? I tried to do this as close to consumer product as possible, because right now the only card you could get for RX is the reference card. So I feel like my test is as close as it's going to be to the real world scenario. And if you don't agree, tough. Too bad.
Well, I do want to call out one more little thing really quick before we wrap up on this topic, and did you run this test in a closed-in case?
You motherfucker. I knew you were going to bring that up. Actually, do you want... Okay, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? I don't think I've actually said this out loud on camera or even in a conversation with anyone. My RX 480 test was done with the fans at 100%. My RX 480 test was done with the fans at 100%. When you see that chart that goes by that says temperatures, like when I show the temps of the cards, that's what the factory fan profile on Heaven benchmark running for 30 minutes to see what the max temp is going to be. But when I did my benchmark tests with the RX 480, the fans were at 100%. I didn't do that with the 1060. So if anything, there was a boost advantage to the AMD card. The difference with AMD is AMD doesn't allow the card to continue ramping up like NVIDIA does. NVIDIA lets the card go past boost. The problem with AMD is their GCN architecture is never overclocked very, very well. So they don't allow it to ramp past whatever that hard set value is in the BIOS.
And it could set fire to your motherboard.
Well, that's still... Apparently they fixed that, but like I said, I can't test it. So yeah. Yeah, if anything, I gave an edge to the AMD card. Motherfuckers. All right, there's that.
Oh my God, Jay is so angry. So what do you say we shift gears here and talk about something that's a little bit more crazy, like all the crazy shit that's going on with Pokemon Go right now?
Pokemon,
sorry.
Yeah,
God,
Pokemon.
I keep mispronouncing this. Pokemon.
That's
so
okay.
If you guys
I will
hear
always
people
be there.
pronouncing it Pokemon, it's actually Pokemon.
People in chat being like, Jay's obviously paid by AMD.
Jay's paid by everybody. Guys, when I went to visit him, he like quickly grabbed a stack of envelopes off the counter, and I could see like every logo of like every big company, and checks were hanging out of them.
That's actually a true story. He's not kidding.
It was crazy.
The only two checks you're not gonna. There's 3 brands you won't see in there: AMD, Nvidia, or Intel. That's because Intel still refuses to acknowledge that I'm here.
Yeah, the only attention I get from Intel is through a third party, like never directly. I'll start building computers, though. I decided, you know what? I'm going to start building computers, Jay.
I got bad news for you.
What?
My Fanatic steering wheel and stuff will be here next week, and my review will be out before yours.
It probably will.
No, it will.
Actually, now I know for a fact it will. Damn it! Oh, I'm going to get trolled forever. And then when I do it, everybody's going to say I copied Jay.
Let's just say, oh, and I'm buying an Oboto Revolution.
I hate you. I hate you
I'm
so
buying
much.
an Oboto Revolution. I think I'm going to do transducers on there. And I'm going to get a custom receiver for it.
Do it. Just do it. You want me to just ship you all my shit and just cut out the middle?
No, actually, I'm going to buy a CNC mill. And I'm going to custom make brackets for the Oboto Revolution. I'm going to get that all done in a week.
I hate you so much. You could, too. That's the sad thing. It's okay. Hopefully in a couple of weeks I'll be all like super recharged and raring and ready to go.
Chat. I am obviously sponsored by CSGO Lotto.
I was thinking about starting a CSGO Lotto site. Is that still good? Like, there's no drama around that, right?
Yeah, no, it's perfectly legit.
FCC
said it's cool, guys.
I'm gonna call it Barnacles
or the FTC,
gouging
whatever.
kids money wallets.com.
All right, I'm done. I'm done. Sorry, I took up 40 minutes of that, but there was a big deal.
It's like you were talking about 3D printing or something. Jesus Christ, Jay. Okay, so what we're going to talk about right now is the Pokemons, because everybody's playing the Pokemons. Even I've played the Pokemons. Jay has even played the Pokemons. I'm pretty sure only once.
Pokemon. No, I played it twice. We did that video over 2 days.
That's true. Okay, the Pokemons twice. And I actually started playing the Pokemans. I'm going to keep saying that now. The Pokemans down at Jay's house when me and Coconut Monkey ran outside and were like running around his blocks in my pajama pants and shit. People were looking at us like we were crazy. So anyways, it's a cool game. I don't think anybody would argue that it's like a horrible, horrible failure with the stats that it has. I personally think it's cool because it's getting people off the couch and outside. I've literally sat outside of my house and watched dozens of groups of kids.
Lotto.
What?
Pokemon Go Lotto.
PokemonGoLotto.com. Do they got that? Can you go register that?
I don't know.
So I'm sitting on my porch and I see these kids walking by and I yell at them and stuff. I'm like, hey, did you find a Pokemon? And they're like, oh God. So I think it's cool that it's getting people out of the house, but there's some interesting side effects that are starting to come from the Pokemans. So I've got a list of them right here, like the craziest ones so far that have happened. And so the first one is the Pokemon theme song on the original one from the cartoon series on Spotify has jumped in over 382% on playback. So
Jeez.
a lot of these Pokemon players are running around literally streaming the original Pokemon song.
People who like otherwise would have never cared.
Right, who would never cared. They're out there just like, playing their original Pokemon theme song while they're Pokemon. And I thought that was kind of cool. So, another unintended side effect. The next one is Pokemon, when it launched, actually consumed more internet bandwidth than porn. We're talking that porn.
Yeah, I heard there was
more.
There was more users on Pokemon Go than Pornhub.
There was.
Jeez.
There actually was. That's a stat that's like, I think Star Wars or something, like when the Star Wars Force Awakens trailer dropped or something. It was like the only other time I've heard of that happening.
Jerry.
But here's the cool ones, okay?
Jerry.
What?
I named today's stream Tech Tac on accident.
Tech Tac? Leave it there.
We're Tech Tac.
Leave it there. It's like Tic Tac. It's Tech Tac. Let's just rename the whole show. Fuck it.
Okay, Tech Tac.
So Pokemon Go players help catch a criminal. So this is pretty cool. So down in Fullerton, California, because we know all the criminals are down in California.
Especially
some Marines. So these two Marine guys are playing Pokemon Go, walking into a park, and they see a guy harassing some kids. And so they call the cops, and they get the cops to come over or whatever, and they find out that the guy is wanted for attempted murder.
Oh.
Like this is just some dude like in a park. He was like giving kids a hard time. These Marines happen to only be there because they're playing Pokemon.
Heard about that local news, yeah.
Isn't that crazy? And the cops found him, and the dude was like wanted for attempted murder. So that's like that's pretty damn crazy. And then the flip side of that is where the criminals are getting the upper hand. You have robbers tracking the trainers in Pokemon Go. There's already been one reported in St. Louis. There has been one reported. Where's the other one? St. Charles. Let's see, Missouri. Basically, what people are doing is they're hanging out. These robbers are hanging out near Pokestops, and they're waiting for groups of kids to come by, and then they're mugging them.
I understand that some of these robbers are even buying because Pokemon is a what? It's a microtransaction game, and they're buying these lures and placing these lures.
Yes,
or the beacon. They're beacons. The beacon.
Yeah,
right?
In one of them they said that the guy. Yeah, let me see. What is it? The St. Louis one. I don't know which one, but one of them, the guy actually did put a lure down in a park in an area that he knew was secluded, just so he could rob people.
Tech savvy burglars.
It is. It's like literally like Pokemon Go has become like if you want to be surrounded by children, and this is horrible. If you want to be surrounded by children instantly, walk out in your front yard and just drop a lure and wait like 15 minutes. This is going to end badly, people.
I have seen on the local news here in LA, though, there's already been some issues about like pedophiles and stuff on that app. Because I would imagine. Just go where anything is on that app, and then it's like a smorgasbord.
Door and put a free Pokemon sign up, drop a lure, and
companies are doing that now. Like companies are actually doing that, offering like lunch specials with bonus Pokemon Go like items or whatever.
There's actually been reports of businesses literally buying the lures and dropping them at their business just to increase foot traffic.
Yeah, that's a good return on investment, I bet.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that when Pokemon was when they developed this whole mechanism, that was the primary use of this mechanism. Because if you're so you might buy a lure to drop in front of your house to go hunt Pokemon, right? Okay, I can see that being a legitimate use. But the better use and the one that people are going to actually spend money for versus actually play to get it are going to be the businesses, because the businesses aren't going to sit there and play Pokemon to get lures. They're just going to buy a pack of them and just drop them out in front of their business so people get used to them being there, increases the foot traffic. Foot traffic makes people think it's a more popular place, and then they get more business. It's actually really smart.
I've actually, but before you get off the Pokemon Go, I actually said it right there, guys. Before you end your segment, I want to actually talk about a really interesting backstory about the actual developer for the game.
Oh, wow. Okay, save that for then. We'll go through these. So now we got the robbers. Okay, so now the Holocaust Museum and the Auschwitz Museum both said that they don't want anybody playing Pokemon Go anywhere around their facilities at all, because they think that it falls far outside of their educational and memorial missions. But apparently it's become a big enough deal that it's disrupting everything. Like people are going to the Holocaust Museum and people are dropping lures there, and there's a Pokestop there, and there's a gym there, and it's anyways, they were going crazy because like people were literally just showing up at these places that are museums for fallen people of horrible war crimes, and people are running around trying to catch Pikachu. So I can see that being a problem. This one's good. Multiple dead bodies found by Pokemon Go players.
Yeah, because they're in like weird places.
Exactly. Pokemon Go has led to the discovery of not just one, but 2 dead bodies. According to local reports, one body was found by a Pokemon Go player in Nashua, New Hampshire, while they searched for their pocket monsters in a park. A teenager in Riverton, Wyoming found a body in a river last week while playing. And the Los Angeles Times reports that 3 women found a body in a San Diego park on Thursday while playing Pokemon Go.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So basically,
see, most of the stops and stuff, like the gyms and all that, they're at parks.
Yeah.
So they're getting more foot traffic at parks than they've probably ever seen.
Yeah, and you're covering massive more ground because all these people that normally wouldn't be outside are outside, and the whole premise of the game is to get you to move, right? So Pokemon is systematically like plotting the entire world with foot traffic.
Can I add on to that right now then?
Yeah, go for it.
Before you move on to the more dead bodies thing?
Do it.
So there's a little interesting backstory here, and I found this. Okay, I'm going to put on a tinfoil hat for a second here, and I should have made one to actually put on for this.
This whole thing is tinfoil hat, dude.
Okay, so Niantic, is that how you pronounce the company? Niantic?
Good, close enough. It's like
so the
Titanic,
founder, John Hanke, Hanka, John Hanke. I think of South Park. So anyway, he was the founder of a company, a satellite mapping company that was funded by the NGA or whatever. That was funding from the NGA. Now, do you know what the NGA is?
No, I'm guessing some kind of federal thing.
Yeah. So anyway, the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency's mission is to collect and analyze geodata for the U.S. agencies and other spy agencies. So the founder of Niantic was also the founder of a satellite company receiving money from the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency to specifically do internal mapping of the United States. So they developed this app, and now they've got millions of people running around out there with cameras and GPS on.
Yeah, the only 2 games the company is produces were Pokemon Go and, oh God, I can't remember the other one. Not Insurrection, something.
But I know what you're talking about. It's another one of those augmented reality games.
Yeah, so you have a guy here who's trying to map the planet, and now he's basically turned every single man, woman, and child into like the Google truck that maps the streets.
Yeah, it's so there's thoughts that there might be an ulterior motive to this game, that the augmented reality is actually being used to take photos of interior spaces of buildings and people and all of that. And that's
that would explain why it needs so much access to your device. I mean, you pretty much give it like unlimited, access to your GPS, your camera, even your email.
Well, especially when they claim that like the whole full access to Google was an accident. But anyway, it's like
pulled that like 80 times.
Yeah. So anyway, just think about that, guys, while you're out there playing your Ingress is what they're saying the game was. So just think about that while you're out there playing with your phone in augmented reality while you're playing Pokemon Go. You could very well be assisting spy agencies right now by doing that, with you thinking you're playing a game, but you're actually sending constant data. The thing is, the camera only turns on when you're near like a spot where you have to collect the Pokemon. But the app has access to the camera at all times. How do you know it's not constantly sending? Because you ever notice you put that on and your battery is just gone?
Yeah, the thing that, I agree with you. I think the camera's literally on and they're grabbing stuff all the time. They're probably even listening too. There's probably because think about it. How, if you were like a government and you wanted to use this to gain an advantage somewhere, if the country you were attacking, that game was available there, and you could say, you know what? I'm going to drop 20 lures like around their parliament building and then turn on all the microphones to every single kid's camera or phone. You've got these kids literally just walking everywhere, blanking to everyone, and one of them's bound to be within earshot of a conversation that shouldn't be heard.
Makes me wonder too, like maybe you don't have enough geolocation or geocaching or photos or whatever of a certain area. You can't get there with a car and Google Maps. What do? You just put a bunch of rare Pokemon and stuff in a certain area and start making all of the hordes of people go.
And then you got like 12-year-old kids like rappelling down cliffs with like tied together shoestrings to get you that data. It's not as tinfoil hat as I thought. The more you think about it, it's like, well, especially given the background of the guy that created the company, right?
Right. If it was just like, it's alleged that this guy founded and launched these satellites and has been working with the, whatever. Yep. But it's not. It's public knowledge. This guy's business.
Just wait until this branches into the like full blown marketing. You're gonna get like something on your phone that pops up that says, "Oh, discount 5% off at TGI Fridays," because most of your Pokemon hunting is around TGI Fridays.
Can't get Can't Get Right on chat says put tape over your camera. Yeah, I guess you could still catch the Pokemon that way because it augments on there. It doesn't need to actually see the camera.
Yeah, you don't actually need the camera.
But it's still the fact that you're running around there is nothing more than a little GPS beacon mapping things for people.
This game literally turned every child into a spy. That's crazy.
Yeah, into a little spider bot, basically.
Yep. So let's see here. Let's see. Number 7, a Pokemon Go used to catch a cheating boyfriend. Actually, I didn't see this one before. It says Pokemon Go shouldn't be a replacement for couples counseling, but the app proved to be useful when a woman discovered her now ex-boyfriend Evan Scribner was cheating on her with an ex-girlfriend. It's all thanks to Pokemon Go, as she discovered he captured a Pokemon at his ex's house. And Scribner had no excuse, and the two hadn't spoken again since. Oh my god.
My Paul Mickey in chat says on Android they have data usage, and his says it used over 100 megabytes alone. He's only played it a couple times.
You know what kind of freaks me out about this? Think about how you could use this for good and bad. On the good side, you could say, go drop a lure. Like if you guys have a lure, you buy a lure, go drop it in front of like a children's hospital, right? I saw a thing about that earlier this week, and I was like, that's a brilliant idea, because you have a hospital full of kids, they can't leave the premises, and they can capture Pokemons within 100 feet or whatever. So if you go drop your lure right outside of a children's hospital, you're basically helping all those kids to be able to play the game.
I think that's brilliant. Like, do the kids all have smartphones in there?
Yeah, no. The kids totally have cell phones. They have tablets. They have internet, everything.
Like the hotel, the hospital has like stuff that they can play with and use like that?
Yep, and they even have high-speed internet there, too. And they even have...
Probably faster than mine.
Yeah, if you can't get... Yeah, no, you do not have high-speed internet. No. So, yeah, no, they'll even, like, give the kids, like, tablets and stuff like that, loan them to them, like, if they don't have their own stuff. Really cool idea. But then on the flip side, if you want to be a dick, and you have a neighbor that's, like, you know, on a big piece of land, and he values his privacy, all you got to do is drop a lure, like, right in front of his house. And then he's got herds and herds of children until the lure expired, all, like, gravitating to his private property that he doesn't want anybody on.
Yeah.
So there's some good uses and some bad uses for this, and I've heard some people say there's ways to opt out certain areas, but it's not intuitive.
So far that doesn't exist. There's gyms and stuff like right in the middle of the neighborhood where I live. You've seen, and it's brought a lot of people to that park, and it kind of sucks. Yep.
So there you go. You got lures where you can basically like direct the flow of people like through a neighborhood. You can piss off your neighbors. You can help out people at like children's hospitals and other places where, you know, disabled children might be and things like that. So I'm still completely 50-50 on this whole Pokemon Go thing. I think it's a cool idea. I think that the adoption is at such a high, it's such a high rate. It's almost mind blowing how many people are doing this right now.
Yeah.
I've heard of some people like dying and falling off cliffs and getting in car accidents and stuff. But that's pretty typical to anything like this that's new. And
okay, real quick. Big Ben is Damon or whatever says can't drop a lure unless it's at a Pokestop. But the problem is the game has been putting Pokestops on a lot of like monumental areas. Like at the park by me, there's a plaque there that's like a little monument to the park. They put one there. They put one on the gazebo. It's like they know what's at these parks or places nearby, and they've been putting them there specifically with even like history about where that stop is and why it's there. So it's geocaching. Or it's being put on places that have been geocached as points of interest in the neighborhood. It's not just randomly like they stuck a stop on the middle of a sidewalk.
This is the part I don't understand about that, though. Is just the other day I had a bunch of kids come through my neighborhood, and they said that there was a lure in my neighborhood, and there's no businesses around here.
No, but there is little parks and things.
I mean, I do. I guess there is a little park. So, but it doesn't look like it's big enough park to like register as anything. I'd be surprised if they even knew it existed.
If it didn't give away where I'm at, I would tell you where those Pokestops literally across the street. That makes no sense.
How far did lures have to be right at the Pokestop, or can they go on the stop distance away from it?
They literally, all the ones I've ever seen, they're literally like on the stop, like on the square, the blue square.
Drop it right on the stop. Okay, so that severely limits like the way that this could be abused. So in that case, I think that's actually
the bottom line is the robbers are pretty brazen.
Yeah.
All right,
they're literally just hanging out at the Pokestop, just letting the cell phones come to them.
Okay, let's do this. We've got donation comments we need to read. Probably both of us.
Oh
here.
Yeah, we should probably start cruising because I got them too.
Messin1, he donated last week too. He says, "Jay, I see you fixed your CG machine. Jerry is looking very realistic today." because he actually showed up. Rene Caballero says people can actually request Pokestops on the website, so you can request one be put somewhere. Interesting.
I wonder how much they check up on that.
I don't know. No, put it at my neighbor's house that I hate. Okay, Elrod says...
That's what I was thinking.
Hey, Jay, I have a 980 Ti in motherfucking SLI. My question... He wrote that, not me. My question is, should I upgrade to a 1080 for HTC Vive or wait for the 1080 Ti? Dude, your two 980 Ti's are going to be perfectly fine in VR. Remember, all the HTC Vive stuff, all the DK stuff for Oculus and all that was done on, like, 980s and 980 Ti's, not the 1080s. That's just, they just saw an improvement in some of the extreme VR instances with the newest graphics cards, and an improvement in efficiency, not so much an improvement in performance. Actually, my family was over here the other day. My sister and her family, we were playing Vive for a couple hours, and I looked at the MSI Afterburner to see what the average usage was on the GPU, and it was like anywhere between 35 to 55%. So VR is still not being tapped out by a single 1080. Your two 980s are perfectly fine. In fact,
the other cool thing, Jay, is that... sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh, all the developers on VR, because there is only one HTC Vive and one Oculus Rift, everybody's able to optimize their games exactly for that hardware.
Right.
Which is great. Where
it's very
when people have 4K screens and stuff. Yeah, it's very console-ish. Good way to
console because the resolution in all of them is identical. Like all the HTC Vives have the same resolution. I'll even go as far as to say that your two 980 Ti's are going to perform better than a single, obviously 1080, because you can do in NVIDIA optimized games, you can actually do per eye GPU dedication. It'll do it automatically though, but you can have one GPU per eye, which is going to give you the best latency-free situation. Robert,
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Robert Santellin says, hey guys, love the show. No question here. Just want to support you guys. Stay awesome. Thank you, sir. Jonathan Allison says, Jerry, love the Pokeball video. Even the fact that he put the button on the wrong side? Jay.
I did too.
Let's see. Jay and Jerry, I have been looking for... Oh, wait, sorry. I forgot to finish this question. You distracted me with your little Pac-Man ball.
With my balls.
He says, Jay, I have a 390. I want to game 4K. Should I double up or replace it? About a year ago. You guys rock. You know what? You're probably going to want to, at minimum, double up on a 390. Even a single 1080 in AAA titles is not good enough for a seamless 4K stutter-free experience. SLI is going to be required for that, and same with Crossfire. Two 390s should be enough. They have 8 gigabytes of VRAM, but if you have 390Xs, I would say for sure, maybe get two 1070s. But that, again, it's expensive to game in 4K. It really is. Eric Steele, Jay and Jerry, I have been looking for a 1080 since launch, and I haven't found any. Is there any way I can put my cats to work in finding one? Can you please explain in detail? The problem is production on these is extremely limited for whatever reason. Your cats are going to come back and be like, sorry, sir, we couldn't find any. I mean, I know, like, for instance, Jacob over at EVGA, he'll tweet out, like, hey, guys, we got For the Winds in stock, or we got SCs in stock, or whatever, and then, like, a minute, 32 seconds later, he's like, okay, they're gone. I mean, that's how fast they're selling. But the problem is it's not like they're getting pallets of 100 of them or 200 of them. They're getting, like, probably pallets of a dozen or 2 dozen. They're just not high volume right now. They actually anticipated, NVIDIA had put out a statement saying that was it NVIDIA? Someone put out a statement saying that they were expecting volume to be normalized by mid-July. They obviously missed that mark.
Is the 1070 availability higher?
The 1070 GPU core is identical to the 1080. It's just a cut-down version. So it's just as limited.
Same problem. Okay.
Yeah. Nerd Metal Chick. Ha, got it. I can read Leet. Nerd Metal Chick says, hi, Jay and Jerry. How are you tonight? 2 questions. Jay, is EK launching GTX 1060 water blocks? Also, do you two know a good way to engage my 6 and 5-year-old into computers and tech? Okay, so for the first part of the question, I think EK would be crazy not to because they released an RX 480 block, which is a cheaper graphics card. Typically, they didn't make graphics card water blocks for the mid-range stuff, like $250 cards and cheaper. But they did this time. So that's
real
good.
Question though. Why would you want, if you're going to buy the lowest end card in the series, why would you spend all that money for liquid cooling? Like, just buy the more expensive card.
Well,
it's not cheap to liquid cool a card. The blocks are what, like $100 just for the block?
They're a minimum of $100.
Oh, Jesus.
So here's the thing. Let's say you have a $269 1060.
Okay.
You add a $110 water block. You're not $379. The problem is there's no $379 NVIDIA graphics card right now. Unless you go and find yourself a used 980 Ti or something that's extremely cut down like a 980 or 980 Ti. But I agree with you. I've never been of the mindset that it makes sense to water block a low range card. I'd rather take the extra money and buy a better card.
Yeah, because I mean, by the time you're done buying the water block, the fittings, everything, the pump, provided that you don't already have like.
Well, if you already have the water loop, you got to throw that out. I mean,
if you already have the water loop, yeah. But I'm just saying, it's like at minimum you do need to get the fittings, you do need to get the block. It just I don't know. Yeah. It seems to me like if you're gonna blow that kind of money on the liquid cooling aspect, I would just wait and get the better cards so that you could really just run them hard with the water block on them.
Yeah. The second part: how to engage a 6- and 5-year-old into computers. So Minecraft. My daughter. I was just going to say that. My daughter's 7, and she loves Minecraft. She's also been playing a game called Roblox, which is an online game, and I have to watch her like a hawk when she's on that because it's an online game. But those are building games, and she loves Legos and things. So Minecraft is a lot like Legos if you get in creative mode. Survival mode might be a little hard for someone 5 and 6 years old. Minecraft is fun. She did a lot of games like ABC Mouse. I don't know if you've ever heard of that one, Jerry.
Yeah, Xander loves ABC Mouse. Like, that's what he almost does exclusively on his iPad.
Yeah, so ABC Mouse is a good one. Steam doesn't have a lot of, like, young kid games on there, really. So you're going to be stuck with going to websites that they can play, like, Flash games on. Like, Disney Junior has really good Flash games on there for kids that are free. If they're girls, Disney, they have a princess website with a lot of princess games. That's how Little Jay started. So I would start that way.
Yeah, also check out some of the typing sites. It's fun to get young kids interested, like just as they're getting, starting to read and everything. Get them on a typing site because they like to push the buttons on the keyboard and find them, and then you realize that they just start typing fast.
The amount of people that are like, oh God, Roblox? Yeah, Roblox is still around. I'd never even heard of it. But here's the thing, Little Jay's also got her favorite YouTubers too that she likes to watch, and she likes to watch some of the younger Minecraft live streamers, like some of the teenage streamers and stuff. Like on the Minecraft videos on YouTube and Roblox and stuff. But the thing with Roblox too is it seems really innocent, but just like Minecraft, you can have some pretty vile people that are up there making videos for that stuff. So please, literally, you have to stay on top of them. Like I constantly am going in there and I'm verifying that she's got Roblox chat like off, and she's not allowed to talk to nobody up there. Literally, chat.
Yeah, don't let your children run wild on the internet. Like, seriously.
Don't even let your adults run wild on the internet. We shouldn't.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, at this point, I'm inclined to agree with you there, Jay.
Kanto Red 21 says, "Hope you enjoyed the Budicles Pokemon Go thing." Oh, that was he the guy who made the cards?
Yes.
The Pokemon cards.
Those were absolutely fantastic.
Also, PayPal is down right now as I'm typing this. What? Jay, get Jerry a coffee with this donation. No, that's my donation. You had to give $10 to get him a coffee.
No, Jay.
Fine. I'm getting him.
Anything that's green is Jay's. Anything that's in my email box right now is mine.
Well, he donated $5, and I can't get you a Starbucks with that. I could get you like a tall Pike's Place roast. Yeah.
a drip, and they probably wouldn't even let me put cream in it.
Not one of them. Oh yeah, they'll charge you for the cream. I charge for cream, if you know what I'm saying. All right, IRTS 10 says, Jay and Jerry, have you tried the Burger King mac and Cheetos? If you have, do you like it? I hate mac and cheese, and I don't go to Burger King.
I had one, and I didn't like it.
Yeah, I don't really do the fast foods. It hurts my belly. Matthew Gregory, love the channel and hate Scrum. Would you recommend Corsair closed loop or air cooled for $47.90?
Air cooled.
Well, no, you're only saying that because you're air cooled now.
Air cooled.
Get the Corsair H110i. Robbie Wallace says, Jay, is it worth it to upgrade my Gigabyte G1 970 to a 1060 or 1070 for 1440 gaming? Thank you guys. Thank you much, guys. Appreciate all you do. Well, if those are my two options, a 1060 or 1070, get the 1070. The 1070 is way more powerful than a 1060 for 1440p gaming. 1070 handles it like a champ, including with MSAA on. Daft Trooper says, Jerry, have you broken Rob's Jerry-proof 2x4 furniture?
I have not sat on it yet. So I will let you know. I'm actually going to a barbecue in 2 weeks over there, and I'm going to sit hard on all.
Is this something that took place in PDX I'm not aware of?
No, it was before PDX. Just you know Darth Tigger, right?
Yeah.
So he turned his garage into like a workshop for cutting wood and stuff. So he's been taking all these like old 2x4s, cutting them into little like 1x1, 2x2s, and then like putting them all together into like lawn furniture. And he's made like a whole entire lawn furniture set, including table and everything. And he claims it'll support me no problem.
So you're just gonna like butt plop. Just
I'm gonna butt plop down in that sumbitch like it's
Guys,
1999.
I've seen Jerry, like, literally lower himself down on some furniture. And let me tell you, this is what Jerry does. Jerry walks up to that furniture. He kind of pulls up his pants a little bit between his leg. Yep. He lifts up one leg, jumps off the other, kind of goes horizontal midair, and then just boom on the couch. He did it on mine like nonstop. And you know what? The whole time I was watching that going, I'm glad I got the good couch.
Dude, I was just that's how I get the cushion to conform to me.
I'm not kidding. I was like, dang, this guy is not furniture friendly. He just like throws himself down. But you know what? I do the same thing.
When you own a nice couch like Jay has, you got to just ram on that shit.
The first time you did it, I kind of was taken back for a second. I was like, oh, damn. After that, I was like, you know what? I think we're good. Because you did it like every time you sat down.
Jay, you try wearing pajama pants all the time and sit on a couch, okay?
It's hard work. It's hard work. All right, Jonathan Gallagher says, would it be possible to 3D print a GPU water block? I don't have a printer, but I'm curious.
You know what? I would not recommend it. And the reason being is if the layers do not bond flawlessly, it will not be watertight. And if it's under pressure, it could separate the material.
But you can only print half of it, like the top. You couldn't print the copper base that you need to actually transfer the heat.
No, and that's true. And a lot of people make the misconception that if you use a metallic filament, that it's going to be good for heat transfer, but it's not because it's in a plastic substrate. So it's even though it's got metal dust in it, it's not actually touching.
Blitz Blood Fan says, suplex that shit. Suplex onto the couch.
I was just, hey, I saw Coconut Monkey do it, and I just thought, you know, that's
to be fair, he's like 65 pounds lighter than you.
65? Probably more like 100.
No, he's 235.
Was he really?
Yeah.
He doesn't look it.
No, he's tall like me.
Oh.
Anyway. No, you, don't worry. I throw myself down on the couch all the time.
Like, all right, do I get to go through some of my donations now, Jay?
Oh, do you have some?
Some of the poor people ones?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I do. All right, I got a donation from, let's see, Daniel Kring says, love the content you make. Donating because I use AdBlock. Thank you, sir. Let's see. And there's JB and J.
What?
Jerry, what is it? Arnia? Jereaarnia? Jerry Arnia. Said about thermal paste is, let's see, there is like really good what happens if I apply Arctic MX2 to GPU. If that is good stuff to CPU, why not to GPU? No PC Magazine. Haven't tested. I'm guessing this isn't his first language. Different thermal paste on GPU. Okay, that's a good question. Why not use CPU thermal paste on GPU? Like the Arctic MX2 paste.
It just usually has to do with different compounds. GPU thermal paste is guaranteed to be non-conductive, but not all CPU thermal pastes are non-conductive.
That is true. That is true. I know a lot of the there's several different versions of Arctic Silver, and a couple of them are really conductive. Let's see here.
They give you a better temperature transfer when they're when they're conductive because of the types of metals that they can use. The problem
I would imagine, yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is all the GPU stuff because there's a lot of circuitry right around the GPU die and it doesn't have a spreader on there like a CPU does. Mm-hmm. You'd have to really glob on that shit to make the CPU like splosh over onto the socket. But yeah, it just has to do with the safety of it all.
Anything. Oh, go ahead.
I've used GPU compound on CPUs before in a pinch when I didn't have any of my CPU compound around, and it worked just as good. So
I'd imagine it would. I mean, GPUs arguably get hotter than CPUs, so
they do, which is why there's no spreader on there. You have direct die contact to those coolers.
So
they're
we got
delidded, bitch.
Christopher also said, "Hey Jerry, can't donate." It says can't donate to show anything on screen and the stream, but hopefully this could get asked anyways. Don't worry, if you guys donate to me, it still gets asked. Was wondering how the Vulkan DX12 benchmarks stack up on the 480 versus the 1060 or async compute. Don't remember anybody doing the test as of yet, but I've probably just missed it. Jay, have you done any DX12 benchmarking between the 480 and the 1060?
So the only DX12 benchmarks that are actually available right now is Ashes of the Singularity, which is arguably probably one of the most complete asynchronous compute benchmarks out there.
Which I have. I got to go to PDX land. Yeah, and Battlefield 1. Yeah.
I've never played it. I've only done the benchmark. I have no idea what the game is even about. I just run the benchmark.
I haven't even opened
it. There's the new Hitman, which has a DX12. Tomb Raider, a Rise of the Tomb Raider, which has a very broken version of DX12 apparently. And then the new Time Spy. The problem is Ashes of the Singularity and Time Spy are both kind of shrouded in controversy in the sense that there's claims out there that both favor one or the other. But the same claim has been out there about Heaven benchmark and Valley benchmark. So I thought about using Time Spy with my 1060 video. But that's because when I loaded up 3D Mark, I'm like, oh, what's this Time Spy thing? Because I hadn't used it since the 1070 benchmark. So it was new enough to where I went, you know what? I know nothing about this benchmark, so I'm not going to use it. And I'm glad I didn't, because I got enough GPU drama from that video than being like, oh, look, and he uses an NVIDIA biased one, which people seem to think. But FutureMark came out and said, or FurMark, whichever company it is, came out and said they're standing by their benchmark. It works as intended. It is not biased towards any company. It works exactly as the asynchronous compute in DX12 is intended to work. Deal with it. So I might play around with it a little bit. The reason why you didn't see any Vulkan testing is only one game out right now, unless you guys can correct me in chat, that actually uses Vulkan, is Doom right now. And what's interesting about Doom is it's a very against the grain kind of software development process that went on there. They didn't launch with DX12 or DX11. They launched with OpenGL, which was like, shit, when's the last time you saw a game primary in OpenGL? Then,
but that tells me that they probably developed it on a Linux platform.
Maybe. So that,
I mean, that's the only reason I can think of.
Yeah, so it launched with OpenGL. And then when they went, okay, we're going to have an API, they went with Vulkan. The problem is that shit's all so new, including DX12, that there's a lot of things that you just cannot draw long-term conclusions on what's going to happen with DX12. What a lot of people are speculating, though, is the reason why NVIDIA is not performing as well in asynchronous compute. Now, you got to understand, asynchronous compute is kind of a gray term. It's not a design, it's not a direct, like, standard. It's like DirectX is an API. It's a standard. Vulkan is. Mantle was. DX12. Those are APIs. They work a certain way. You program a certain way. That's it. Asynchronous compute is not that way. Asynchronous compute simply is a method of programming that says, allow untapped usage of the GPU to do something else asynchronously to get better performance rather than dealing with called procedures that are being asked for in a certain order. Allow things to actually happen. The problem is NVIDIA and AMD are doing it differently. NVIDIA is still doing things, I believe, in series, which means once this task is complete, go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. AMD, and with Vulkan, it's able to say, and with DX12 as well, AMD is apparently allowed to do in their level of design, which they came out with years ago, by the way, with the Hawaii architecture when GCN first started, says, do things in the order that you can do them. If you can do this in a different order and it's beneficial, do it. And that's why AMD seems to perform a little better with asynchronous style computing. But the problem is asynchronous in itself is still not a standard. Vulkan is supposed to have given a huge performance boost to AMD cards in Doom. It's the first title we've actually seen that's a AAA and includes Vulkan. The problem is a lot of people are running out there right now trying to draw conclusions of this is the standard, this is what's happened, this is the future with one sample. And you can't do that because you could have done that with 3D Mark. You could have done that with, remember the old 3D Mark 11? 3D Mark 9, 3D Mark 01 or whatever it was. Everyone could have said DirectX. But the problem is both companies put their chips in different baskets. And I think it's hurting NVIDIA now because they didn't think the landscape was going to unfold the way that it is with developers starting to use asynchronous compute APIs like Vulkan and DX12. So right now, the problem is trying to get a complete and unbiased, true sense of DX12 at asynchronous compute. You're going to get different experiences on both sides no matter what, because they're both dealing with asynchronous in a different way. And I want to see more DX12 titles. I want to see more Vulkan titles. I want to see...
It'll happen with the forced adoption of Windows 10. It's just a matter of time.
And what's going to happen is there's going to be forced adoption from NVIDIA to program and optimize for it too, which will then start seeing hopefully really good battles with those APIs.
Yep,
so,
and then you'll be forced to jump on board.
I think just about every single reviewer did not do Doom and Vulkan with the RX 480 versus the 1060. But I think what people are forgetting is that shit launched like right at the same time everyone was doing their benchmarks. And I'm personally not comfortable with benchmarking that's something that is brand spanking new when it comes to like API and software like that. It's the same reason. It's the same reason why I dropped my key. It's the same reason why I didn't do Time Spy, which is the new 3D Mark DX12 benchmark.
It's because you're afraid people are going to judge you.
No, it's because I know nothing about it. I don't know how it works. I don't know if it is somehow biased in some way. I want to see more data.
It'll happen. Tyler Rogers said, sorry, Canada doesn't allow YouTube donations. Jay, out of all the 1080s right now, what is your fave so far?
Oh, that's a hard one. Well, the Zotac Amp Extreme, just in terms of being like, look how big my E-pin is with this giant GPU. But it's not fair because I haven't tested all of them yet that I'm planning on. I have 2 more GTX 1080s and I'm testing, potentially a third, and then I'm probably going to be done. Downstairs right now, I have the EVGA GTX 1080 classified. I have that
Which
card
one's
downstairs.
the biggest and heaviest?
The Zotac so far.
Is it the Zotac is?
Yeah.
Actually still have some
It's
Zotac.
12.7 inches long. 12.7. Yeah, that's some Lex Steel stuff right there. Anyway,
yeah.
So I don't want to start name dropping porn stars. Wow, let it be known that Jay really knows.
Put them in our text, Jay. It'll get us more views.
I like the Founders Edition card though because I've clocked so good. All my Founders cards have exceeded 2100.
Yeah, it's funny. When I was down at PDX Land, every time they announced when they were doing the giveaway, at the end that they do the raffle, every time they'd say Founders Edition, everybody just get like all crazy.
Only because it's more expensive. It's like getting more money, I guess.
But I just thought that was an interesting thing. Andrew Laura says, hey,
everyone wants me to show them the classified. You want to go get it while you read comments?
Go get it.
All right, I'll be right back. It's such a unicorn card. I don't think they believe that I have it. I'll be right back.
Dude, go get it, man. Go get it. Love the show and its interesting banter. Buy yourself a beer or maybe one for Jay to cool him off a little. Leave the 1060 talk for the poor NVIDIA folk. Lol. I like seeing Jay get all worked up. It's hilarious. Draggy, whoa, that's a cool name. Says, great show, guys. Shame about Jay being an NVIDIA AMD 3DFX shill. I like that he threw 3DFX in there. Let's see here. Oh, we got our buddy Robert Santel in here saying, hey guys, love the show. No question here. Just wanted to show my support. Stay awesome, guys. Thanks, Rob. You're awesome. Let's see. Moving along, we have Joshua Moak. I've seen him before on here. He said, hey, Jerry. Oh, Fighting Falcon fan, obviously. This guy has literally been around since I've had like 10 subscribers. He said, I was curious on how you have your media center set up with your seat and TV tuner cards in Windows 10. My Blazer PC currently runs Windows 7 with no video card, about 2 gigabytes of RAM, a Pentium CPU for the 1155 socket, and it hangs when you want to change channels or stop watching TV altogether. I was wondering if you had any pointers for me. Love the content you and Jay make. You both make my week a hell of a lot more awesome. I can tell you right now, I stopped using Media Center. I gave up on it. I tried doing the hack in Windows 10. It was very, very unstable. I dropped the seat and cable card tuners, and now I went completely disconnected. I'm watching everything online, cableless. Let's see. We have Kato. Awesome name. Kato and Ginson. Love the content. Thank you for the support. We got Jay over there with his big old box. Lee Warrett says, good day, Jerry. Enjoy your work and your passion. Very entertaining from a fellow PTSD, depression, and anxiety sufferer. Keep it real, mate. Love you from the land down under. And there's Jay just like flapping his arms like a bird. Let's see here. Troy Roberts said, hey, Jay and Barnacles. I'll be building my first PC soon, and it's going to be water-cooled. No, you should air-cool it. What are you doing? So my question is, there a major difference between the Xeons and the i7s, more specifically on the i7 6950X and its Xeon counterparts, as I'm confused as why people are saying Xeons are worth more for the cheaper price. I know 8 cores is probably enough, but still, right? PS $69 is the magical number. Oh, he donated $69. So Jay, you could probably get into this more in depth than me, because all I know from the Xeons to the i7s is that the Xeons are held to a locked clock. They're not designed to be overclocked. They're much more stable. They run cooler than the i7s because they're in the enterprise arena, and they generally have more cache.
ECC memory registration.
Oh, and the ECC memory, that's true. ECC memory can save you a lot of hassle. But again, mostly seen in the enterprise and high-end workstations, not in gaming machines. If you're talking performance potential, though, technically the i7 can achieve a higher performance.
Games will take more advantage of that high clock than it will multiple threads.
Correct. And unless you're talking about the super high-end Xeons, you can still get an i7 with the same number of threads. I'm not familiar with the 6950X though. How many threads is that?
10 core, 20 thread i7.
Okay, you're not going to find. Okay.
$1,795 are available everywhere because nobody's buying them.
Yep, that's a big old no. go with the less cores, less threads, more megahertz. Let's see. Anthony Farrig said, "Hey Jerry, love the Pokeball print. I do too. This thing actually turned out. You got to admit, Jay, that turned out amazing. Like for as many times I screwed that up.
Did you go get the leveling primer or no?
It didn't say it was leveling primer, but it worked the same. It worked beautifully. I was thinking of changing the nozzle on my 3D printer from a 0.4 that came with it to a 0.2. Will that be enough to make my prints smoother? And what setting should I need to change? Okay, I'm going to recommend that you don't do that, because if you go to a 0.2 nozzle, that means that you're going to be able to clog much, much easier if there's any imperfections in the filament. And though it will be good for printing detail on very, very small pieces, you're not going to notice any difference when you're printing larger pieces, because the only time you're going to see higher detail is when it goes through tiny little acute angles where you need that very, very thin filament to do that. Otherwise, you're not going to notice a difference.
Jerry, I want you to respond to this comment.
What is it?
Anders Hammann, obviously, is... Hammann, is that German? He says, this shows the lack of respect Jay has for Jerry and the stream. Sad face. Jerry would not do this to Jay. I was playing music.
Oh, were you musicking me again?
Do you feel disrespected?
Always, Jay. Always.
Do I disrespect people I like or people I hate?
People you like.
There you go.
People you hate, you just give them the silent treatment and punch them in the face.
No, I don't even do that. They're not worth the painful knuckle.
No, Jay. A lot of people think that you like hate people, or that
you mean like yesterday where I said my favorite videos are the ones that make it online.
Exactly. That kind of shit, Jay. But they'd have to know you'd understand. You're just a different kind of feller. Right. Charles Phillips.
Guys, I'll show you the classified when Jerry is done responding to his fans. Okay.
All right, hold on here. We got Conrad. Oh God, this is gonna be a hard one. Conrad Oleszowski. Oleszowski. How close did I come to that? Question for you both. Add attention, Jay. What is your favorite cup of coffee from Starbucks? I'm in love with the iced coconut milk mocha macchiato. Well, I think Jay can answer this, because I every time I go see him, I come back and my favorite drink's his favorite drink for about 3 months.
I like caramel macchiatos.
Upside down caramel macchiatos.
Well, okay. See, I don't agree with the upside down thing, because they technically make it upside down already. I just make them put it right side back up, and then they keep telling me that that's upside down.
Oh, I did not know that. So
why would anyone want to drink 3/4 of a cup of milk and then the shots on top? Mix that shit up, please. And if you mix it, apparently that's upside down. Why would you want all that nasty syrup and milk with coffee at the end?
That is weird.
Yeah.
It's very weird. Ronaldo Santos says, I have two 780 hydro coppers. Will they work for 4K, or should I go for one 1080? I'd say hands down 1080.
Go the 1080, because the problem with the 780s is going to run out of VRAM at 4K.
And let's see, Daniel Crane again. Love the content you make. Donate. Oh wait, why do I have two things? Oh, did he donate twice? Oh, he donated again. And wait, I think I got some things mixed up here. No, here we go. Okay, so wow, Bailiang Liu, Bailiang. Leo said, "Hey, I don't know how to use YouTube donations, so I'm wondering, do I need to upgrade my R9 290 to a 1060, or should I go for an R9 290 Crossfire? I just get another R9 290. What do you think, Jay?
You start to reach a point where there's a threshold there where it's like, I mean, one, how hard of a time are you gonna have finding an R9 290 right now?
Like none.
No, they're old. They're a couple years old now. Nobody's selling those.
Yeah, but you should be able to buy one used for like nothing, right?
Yeah, but then you bring in the old conversation. Are you comfortable buying a used card? Where are you going to buy it from? Blah, blah, blah. And I get that question all the time. Jay, do you think it's okay to buy used? No, not Craigslist, but like overclock.net forums and stuff. You can find some real reputable sellers up there. Hard forum, all that stuff. Yep. I don't. What was the alternative to the
R9 290 or a 1060, a single 1060?
Oh God, yeah, two 290s.
Yep. And then the last one I have is from Antonia Arias. Said, hey, Jay and Jerry, love the show. My YouTube donation didn't work, so I'm asking here, Jay, since you're switching to the Primochill wet bench, would you be willing to sell me your Case Labs test bed?
No, because I don't sell cases. First of all, I sell very little of anything, and most of the stuff that I do get rid of, I give to friends and things. But the problem with the cases is even if I wanted to give them away, they cost way too much to ship. Yeah, you could break it down and make it flat, but I'm not going to go through all the labor of tearing it down and making it flat just to send it away.
And it would still be expensive, even flat.
Yeah, it's heavy. Also, even though it's aluminum, it's heavy.
It is. Thank you to Francisco Hernandez. He also made a donation that almost got missed because for some reason PayPal tied it on to another person.
Okay,
all right,
so
I think I'm through everything.
Yeah, and I've got a few more comments I have to read, but I'll do the Class C first. So this is a live unboxing. As you guys can see, it still has all of the shipping. It's still in the shipping box. This arrived the other 2 days ago, actually.
Let's see it.
I have not had a chance. So if something's wrong, EVGA is watching right now. So if something's wrong with this card, sorry. if it came flattened for some reason.
You're gonna shake it, parts are gonna fall out of the box. You're just gonna be like, oh.
Now EVGA usually, they used to send this stuff in edible packing peanuts, but now they use these packing things now that are, these big old things. Sad face. All right, there it is, classified. GeForce GTX 1080 classified, bonafide, certified, 6-car monorail. Oh, sorry, that reminds me of this. Are you doing Halo?
I was. That's like my that's my default go-to whenever I'm unboxing stuff.
All right, I'm opening it up. By the way, guys, I've had this 1060 back here just looping and looping and looping because of acoustics. You guys have always asked me, how loud is the card?
Dude, it's quiet.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. I have a shotgun mic pointed at it right now. Do you see the mic right there?
Yep.
So I'm going to turn the mic up. Now, you have no point of reference. Oh, you can actually hear me twice. Woo, echoey. You hear that? Echo!
It's not that bad, actually.
So you have no point of reference of how loud that is. So let me do this. Allow me to introduce myself. I am going to start up Beta 64. And the fan is still running. The benchmark is still going in the background right now. I'm going to start a disk test. That's a disk test. Let me be very clear. To show you guys how...
Did you say dick test?
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay.
So you guys can hear the hard drive click. So the fan is still running right now. It still has Heaven going. Here's what the hard drive sounds like in audible, like something to compare it to. Banana for reference. Let me turn my mic down.
I don't hear anything.
Well, you're not using headphones either. Here, I'll turn it up.
Okay, now I can hear it. There's a slight hiss.
Do you hear the hard drive clicking?
Yep.
Yeah.
But to be fair, the hard drive in your test bench is loud as shit.
No, it's not. It's actually underneath the motherboard, inside the case. It's not.
Dude, I was sitting next to your computer while I was editing when I was down there. I could hear clunk, clunk, kerthud, kerthud, and I forgot what that sound even sounded like because I have SSDs.
So then don't be subjective and be like it's loud as shit. Just be like it sounds like a regular hard drive. It's a WD Black.
You calm your tits, Jay. Actually, blacks are pretty loud drives.
All right, let's open this thing up.
But they're also indestructible.
This is one of the things I love about EVGA review samples, guys. As you guys can see, this is all retail packaged stuff. This is not like review sample stuff. It's not engineering samples. So you get all the same stuff you'd normally get with it. It's been a long time since I've done an egg crate. Are you guys ready? Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
All right, there it is. All right, that's it. No, just kidding. So yeah, it's got a little bit of red accenting to it. Because the ACX 3.0 cooler, they've got pretty much the same design across the board. I'm pretty sure this is RGB LED, and if it's not, then shame on you. But if it is, then good. There it is. There's your classified right there, and then there's the back plate. It's red. It's got a lot of red. I'm okay with that, I guess. It's aluminum, black, and red. Kind of looks pink on the stream a little bit. Oh, guys, it does have dual BIOS. That's a big deal. The first 1080 I've had come in here with a custom BIOS switch on it, so that's good news.
For when you fry the first BIOS trying to hacksaw it?
Or to use it to recover it when you break it.
Yep.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, now EVGA is watching, so hopefully he can, if he is still watching, he can tell me if I'm right or wrong. I believe
that's actually a really pretty card.
I believe the classified is one of only like 2 or 3 cards that will actually allow a boost in voltage over the hard cap of, what was it, 1.092. I believe this one might actually go all the way up to 1.25.
Hey, does all that pink stuff light up? Do you know?
It's not pink, it's red. It just looks pink on the camera. It lights up behind there, yes.
That's awesome.
That's just a mesh that's on top of the LED like plate that's underneath the cooler.
I think it's a cool design. That's one of the more unique looking graphics cards I've seen.
You know, I will say this. When I first showed the 1080 SC, the first ACX 3.0 cooler that I got to see here when I put pictures of it up on Instagram, It was an instant love it or hate it from the audience. They either loved the cooler design or they hated it. There was no middle ground. But it's a bit bold versus what they've done in the past.
That's usually typical for bold things.
It's kind of bold. But anyway, that's that. Let me catch up on these comments and then we'll get out of here. Brian Ingram says, I have a 12-year-old stepson with unrestricted access to the internet, and he hasn't even tried to look at anything bad. He put quotes. I even checked the network traffic. Should I be worried? Give it a year.
Wait, how old was he again?
12.
Oh, God, at 12, I think I downloaded like every piece of porn on the local bulletin board system there was.
Yeah, but let's face it, Jerry, you ain't normal.
I'm not normal. I'm not.
Yeah, I would give it another year. We're all giving advice like, no, don't be concerned until you're, it's okay. Your son doesn't.
No, but what you're forgetting too is that he's probably like 12-year-old now on the internet. They're all like parts of hacker groups and everything. So he's probably using like a proxy with encrypted traffic, and he's got his little thumb drive he plugs in when you're not looking. Everything goes through Tor, and so you can't see it.
Yeah, you're right. He's probably just too smart for your traffic monitoring.
Yeah. I would say instead of sniffing your network traffic and everything, you should probably set up like a camera somewhere and be like, I'm going to the store, be back in 2 hours, and then see what happens.
Anyway, let's see. David Romero says, hey, Jay, love the channel. Question for you. Could you test two GTX 760 SLI versus one 1060 or an old card in SLI versus a new one? No, I can't because I don't have multiples of any of those old cards. I have a 660, but I don't have a 760. Matt DeChico? Jay, what are your top picks for best cases to put a custom loop in? I'm considering an Enthoo Primo, but I like options. The Enthoo Primo has kind of been like one of the... Really? I can see you, right? Okay, just checking. Because when I do that, you can't see me until like a minute later.
I know.
The Enthoo Primo has been a pretty good case for water cooling. It's just really big. There's the Corsair 760T, which is a really good one. I think there's also a 780T. I think that's the one I gave Coconut Monkey. It's also pretty decent. Nano, or not the Nano, but the Define S is a great water cooling case from Fractal Design. The case I'll be doing a review that's going up tomorrow. I already did the review, but the video is going up tomorrow of the new Cooler Master Case 5. You can water cool in it, but I wouldn't say it's necessarily the friendliest for water cooling. But Enthoo or Fantex also makes multiple cases other than the Enthoo Primo, which is really good for water cooling. So I'd look at the whole lineup. BS Dragster says, hey Jay, love the shows. Would a 480 60mm rad be good enough for a Crossfire 480 and a 4770K with a mild overclock? That means you want to water cool two 480s. That doesn't make sense to me, man. It really doesn't, because by the time you take the price of both of those 480s and put the water blocks on them, you could buy yourself a 1080. And if you look at my review, I know a lot of people thought that the two 480s was going to beat a 1080. It didn't. It did not. So I would still get a single 1080, even if we're on air, than water cooling two 480s, in my opinion. That's my honest answer to that. Anyway, we're over. We're 2 minutes over. Shit, and we started on time too. This is like bonus time now. What should we do?
Actually, I actually got one more donation, and this one's actually one that I do want to answer, and this is actually something that neither one of us has really touched on, but I'm familiar with it, is phase change cooling.
We talked about that a lot in the past, and reasons why I won't do it.
But you haven't done it. That's the thing is, right? You haven't done a phase change setup.
Long time ago.
Have?
But phase change cooling hasn't changed over the time. Like water cooling stuff's become more mainstream. We have lots of options now, things you can buy, direct bolt and stuff. Phase change has pretty much stayed the same all along in the way it works. It's gotten smaller.
He's asking if the noise would kill him, or if it's worth it. And
does the hum of a refrigerator bother you?
Well, no. I mean, I've seen some phase change systems that are like well insulated and they don't make a lot of noise, but still, you run into the problem of condensation. And condensation, that's the biggest problem with all the sub-zero cooling. Is if you ever see the guys doing LN2 and stuff like that, the amount
you have to build a barrier on the motherboard.
To have in place, it's crazy.
You have to use clay crazy. And all kinds of stuff.
It's nuts. I'd say just avoid it.
That's the reason why. That's the reason why phase change cooling on a daily run PC for me would never work. Plus, you have to turn on the computer by the phase change. You plug the power cable for the case goes into the phase change unit, then that goes into the motherboard. So until the phase change is on and has actually started to actually work and cool down the liquid inside, the computer doesn't turn on. Otherwise, it'll overheat before the phase change cooler ever starts working. Right. So it would take like 3, 4, sometimes 5 minutes, depending on how hot the room is, to actually get your computer to boot up. I don't want to deal with all that just for a little bit better overclocking. I say a little bit better. It could be
I would only recommend it for people that are really trying to just hit records on benchmarks and stuff like that. It's not practical for like daily gaming and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yes, Jason, Slim Shady, I see your cheesecake, and it hurts my stomach just looking at it, and I want it. Anyway, all right, that's it. Time to get out of here.
It's time to GTFO and go eat some spaghetti.
Is that what I'm
gonna do? I'm gonna eat some spaghetti. Yeah, I'm gonna eat spaghetti.
No, spaghetti's gonna eat you.
Maybe it will. Maybe it will, Jay.
Guys, Jerry will not be here next week.
I will not.
Jerry is going to be enjoying time with his wife next Thursday. So
yes, I am.
I might be looking for a replacement for that week, or I might just come up with a special edition show for that week. I'm not sure. But yeah, Jerry won't be here next week. But don't give him a hard time. He gave me notice.
Notice. Lots of notice.
He wasn't like, I can't make it today. I got to finish a video. But then be like, I didn't get the video done. You knew that was coming.
Hashtag Jay's a dickhole all over Twitter. I want to see Twitter like at least 1,000 of them today.
You actually dropped what you were holding. That's how I know I nailed you. Nailed him.
Oh man, got me right in the keister.
You guys got to understand. Here's what Jerry does to get me back. Jerry doesn't get me back directly. He gets me back through my friends. He gets my friends zinging me from the side. Now, where I can just I can like Mike Tyson uppercut with a zinger when I want. And the problem is I come out with a hard hit, and then I'm just like, Jerry will get all my friends doing like jabs at me. I
play the long game.
So Jerry will be like, I command this army of people to give you a hard time.
I'm every bit the asshole Jay is. I just do it in a completely
passively,
non-obvious way. Yeah.
So anyway, all right, guys, time to get out of here. I'm gonna go ahead and roll that outro.
This is the outro for Tech Talk number 120.
Tech Talk number 20.
About 10-6 shit. What?
Tech Talk number 20. Jay didn't lie.
Jay didn't lie. Goodbye.
They didn't pay me enough to lie. All right, guys, I'm gonna get out of here. See you in the next one.